Are you also drawn to kissing and smothering a black stone like Muhammad did when he made the pilgrimage to Mecca, which is sunnah that you have to do? If you go to perform Hajj or Umrah, which you must do once in your lifetime, you have to perform the rites of pilgrimage. So you run around the Kaaba 7 times. You run between Safa and Marwa 7 times. Then you throw stones at the Wadi Mina, stones, 7 stones, I believe. And also you must, if it's not too numerous, kiss the black stone and touch it like Muhammad did. And there's a hadith, and I can give it to you now if you want. Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph, when he went to kiss it, he goes, I know you're a stone that neither harms nor benefits. Had I not seen Allah's messenger kiss you, I would not kiss you. So why did your prophet smooch a black stone?
I asked my imam this, and he says it fell from the heavens.
And you believe that? He duped you to believe? I don't want to say you're dope. I'm not trying to disrespect you. You actually believe Allah? Well, you believe Allah anyway, because he's supposedly the God of Abraham. The God of Abraham sent a black stone for people to smother and kiss it. A black stone that was white that became black because of the sins of the people kissing it?
I mean, I believed it, yeah.
So it turned black because of your sins, right?
Yes.
That means it absorbed your sins, right?
Yeah.
So a black stone can absorb your sins, but Jesus can't bear your sins and die for your sins. Yeah, you guys make sense. So how do you know Satan didn't deceive Muhammad?
Well, because he was pretty victorious throughout.
Victorious how? By the sword, by subjugating people and raping women and prostituting them, according to the Quran and the Sunnah, and that you consider a victory?
I was referring to, the kind of, military, how it got rid of pagan Arabia. And
he got rid of what? How do you know he got rid of pagan Arabia when Islam is steeped in paganism? For example, one of the practices that you're supposed to do if you're a Sunni and not a Quran-only Muslim, if you can afford it once in your life, you have to travel to Mecca, perform the rites, and then kiss and touch the black stone. Why do you do that?
So the view on that, I've heard it said like this before, in the explanation to me was always that, this is how they always did it way back when,
Back when?
Abraham, Ishmael.
What proof do you have historically, archaeologically, before Islam that Ishmael settled in Mecca? Can you give me pre-Islamic, textual, historical, archaeological proof, independent of later Muslim traditions that say Ishmael lived in Mecca, Abraham visited him, and then enshrined a black stone for you to smother?
It's claimed by the Quran, but other than that, no.
No, there's nothing in the Quran that says that. In fact, here I'm going to make a challenge out of love. Show me a single verse in the Quran where it says that the house that Abraham Ishmael built is in Mecca in Arabia. It's not in the Quran.
All right.
So where did you get this from? You got it from traditions that came supposedly over 100 years after the reported death of Muhammad, because even then, you don't even know when Muhammad was born or died, because the Quran doesn't tell you. And the sources that tell you that are over 100 years from the time of Muhammad. In other words, if I asked you what year Muhammad is born, and I say, show me the verse in the Quran, you can't show me that. The name Muhammad only appears 4 times. And then there's a reference to Ahmed. Outside of the Quran is where you get information about who this Muhammad is. If you stay within the Quran, you can't tell me who Muhammad is and where the Quran was situated, because there's nothing in the Quran that gives you a clear historical context to the so-called revelation. So if I ask you what year Muhammad was born, where would you get that information from?
From, what I've been told, by historians, or what they say. And
what historians?
I mean, I don't know any specifically, but all I've heard about his date, I don't hear any conflicting views on his date. And that
you want to bet?
70.
You have the same type of scholarship that you've been appealing to, that say that the historical Muhammad is nothing like the later mythical Muhammad, and people are now even questioning whether Muhammad existed. So you're new to this. You have people who are not Muslims who say that if you examine the earliest sources, you don't get the mythical Muhammad of later Islamic tradition. Muhammad may have been a general, no more no less, and as time evolved, they turned him into this prophetic figure and attribute to him supernatural powers, none of which can be proven historically or Quranically. Can you prove to me historically, archaeologically, Abraham and Ishmael were in Mecca and they built the Kaaba? What proof do you have aside from Muhammad in the Hadith?
I don't have anything other than the Quran, but where did you get the idea that pagans did the circling of the Kaaba?
How many idols were in the Kaaba?
365.
Why do you think there are 360 idols in the Kaaba? Because the pagans had no storage, so they decided just to put the stones there, the idols there?
I think I'm not sure. It has something to do with the calendar.
No, it has nothing to do with the calendar. It has to do with the fact that the Kaaba was a shrine for the god that they believed was a chief god, and they would come and perform rites in honor of the god, and then they housed their gods and goddesses there to honor them as well. Because if you're telling me they didn't perform these practices, which I'll show you they did from your own hadith, then how in the world did that Kaaba end up with 360 idols that Muhammad then later on destroyed?
I'm not sure.
Okay, now, so the whole point is, even your Muslim scholars will tell you, the pagans before Muhammad would circumambulate the Kaaba, run around 7 times, because this was part of their practice. But they say that's because they inherited from Ishmael, who taught it to them, but then they corrupted its meaning.
Yeah.
So that's an admission the pagans did it. But now you're trying to explain away, saying, well, the reason why they did it is because Ishmael was the one who built the Kaaba with Abraham. He taught his descendants how to perform the rites around this building in honor of the God of Ishmael, but then his descendants later on corrupted it and turned it into a pagan festival, and then Muhammad restored it. So that's right. So at least we're admitting the pagans did it. But now you need to prove it's not a pagan practice that originated from paganism, but from Ishmael. What's your proof?
The Quran says that Abraham and his son built the first house of Allah, and that's the
I'll
Kaaba.
give you $1 million to show me in the Quran where it says that's the Kaaba in Mecca. Chapter 2 of the Quran, verse 127 to 133. Show me where it says this house they built was in Mecca, and it's the Kaaba. That's where it says Abraham and Ishmael supposedly built this house. Where did they build it? Show me from the Quran. It says the Kaaba in Mecca. Read it to me.
So I'm reading it. And remember when Abraham raised the foundation of the house with
Where?
Ishmael? It doesn't say where, but in the
Exactly.
footnotes it says the sacred house.
I didn't know the
Kaaba.
footnotes was sent down by Jibreel. Gabriel brought down your footnotes? I don't care about your footnotes. Give me the text, the Arabic. Where does it say this house they built was in Kaaba in Mecca?
I can't show you.
Good. Now go to chapter 3, verse 96.
Okay, surely the first house of worship established for humanity is the one at Becca, blessed sanctuary and a guide for all
Okay, now
people.
prove to me Becca is Mecca. Prove it.
I don't think I can.
Exactly. If you go by the Quran, you have no idea where Becca is because there are many places that had the same name. And you have no proof that the house that Abraham Ishmael built is in Mecca, and it's the Kaaba. That comes from the Islamic tradition in 200 years after the death of Muhammad, or over 100 years after the death of Muhammad. So I want you to give me some conclusive, historical, archaeological, textual proof before Islam. Quote me some historian, quote me some archaeologist that uncovered some archaeological inscription before Islam and the Quran that says Ishmael settled in Mecca and built the Kaaba with Abraham.
I don't think I can, but do you think it might be possible that because this was an illiterate community in Arabia, that they don't have preserved historical writings?
So you mean the pagans and the Jews, the Romans, the Greeks, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Egyptians, and the Jews would have been interacting with the Arabs. None of them would mention that there is this shrine in Mecca that goes back to Ishmael? These literate societies that have been around for thousands of years? Because you're telling me the Kaaba was built at the time of Abraham. Well, that's 2,000 years before Christ. So you're saying 2,000 years from Abraham to Jesus, not a single mention of this holy house built by Ishmael or Abraham, not even from the Jews in their own writings?
I don't know.
Of course you don't know, because there is no proof. That's my point. You blindly followed the lies that you were handed by the Muslims. The point I'm trying to get at is your religion is paganism. You bow to a structure. You don't know why you're bowing to it. The Jews knew why they were bowing to the temple, because God said, I'm going to be here with you in this house in a unique way. Put that aside. You're bowing to a statue or building. Your prophet kissed and smothered a black stone that he said became black from the sins of those that touch it, because it absorbs their sin. And that black stone is going to come to life with 2 eyes and a tongue to intercede for you. And you still think you're a monotheist. And this religion makes more sense than Christianity.